This is certainly a very important time. We're in the middle of the trial. We've waited about 5 years for this to happen, so almost 5 years for this to happen. So this is a big deal. How did you become involved in the Laquan McDonald case?
I became involved by overhearing that a tape existed by the attorneys of the Laquan McDonald estate in 2015. Once I became aware of it, I contacted independent journalist Brandon Smith, and then we filed a FOIA suit for it.
Okay, and you've been in court almost every day. How do you think the trial is going?
I think the special prosecution did a phenomenal job with their evidence, and I believe that they proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Jason Van Dyke is guilty of first-degree murder.
And I know that's what your side is pushing for, but do you think that that's possible, that you think that's going to happen?
We hope so. We hope so. Statistically, no Chicago police officer has ever been convicted for any misconduct in that criminal courthouse. So we hope that this sets precedents, and this officer, Jason Van Dyke, is convicted of first-degree murder.
So we know the other side, the defense, they're painting Jason Van Dyke as a police officer who feared for his life and one who has dedicated his life to service. Obviously, you feel differently.
Yeah, that's not the case. Our community was terrorized by officers like Jason Van Dyke. Jason Van Dyke has 20 complaints against him. Majority of his complaints was for excessive force against African Americans. Jason Van Dyke even received a complaint for a racial slur against an African American woman. He's not an exceptional police officer. He's the epitome of everything that's wrong with Chicago Police Department.
So what's your response when people, they say, we see it, Laquan McDonald was carrying a weapon at the time. What's your response to people who give that as a reason to justify the killing?
Well, the thing about it is that you still have to, the law requires a peace officer to react reasonable. And the fact is that even though Laquan was carrying a 3-inch blade, Laquan McDonald was walking away from Jason Van Dyke. He was walking away from Chicago police. He never verbally threatened anybody on the scene, and he never proposed a threat. So I think when you look at the facts and the circumstances regarding the case, it was completely unreasonable and completely unjustified.
And this has been a very public case. The country has been watching this case. How has your life been different since this case started?
I'm waking up at 6 in the morning doing interviews like this. So that's one. And I just think the community is inspired, the community is hopeful, because we've, for so long from Fred Hampton to John Burge era to now, we've never seen anybody in the black community stand up and fight for us. And this era of activists is starting to do that. And I think the black community at large is very hopeful about and optimistic about the future.
Okay, and can you just tell me what will happen, what will be your response if he does not get convicted?
Well, we want to shut the city down. That's completely it. We want city workers, we want everybody to walk off the job, we want CTA to join us, everybody to stand in solidarity with us. Rahm Emanuel covered this tape up. We need to hold him accountable, hold our elected officials accountable, and we need to shut the city down completely.
Do you think there'll be unrest in the community if he is not convicted?
We hope so.
Violence?
No violence. Okay. Peaceful demonstrations.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you.
Well, as you know, we've been covering the Jason Van Dyke trial since day one, and as we've reported, Van Dyke's lawyers are trying to prove that the shooting was justified. Now, highlighting the fact that in his nearly 15-year career, he never had the need to fire his weapon. They're also arguing their client feared for his life and had no other choice but to fire 16 shots at McDonald. Now, so far, it's not clear if Jason Van Dyke will take the stand to testify on his behalf. Chicago Fire and police have been told to have their equipment home with them and be on alert in case violent protests erupt across the city. We've reached out to Jason Van Dyke's attorneys as well as his wife for comment. So far, they have not responded to our news team's requests.